This is Conversations with the Citizen. I am your host, Tia Carol Jones. I'm here today with Larry Rogers Jr., Cook County Board of Review Commissioner. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Tia. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I am an attorney. I've been an attorney for, this will be my 30th year. It seems like time has flown. And I have a law firm called Power Rogers. We do personal injury litigation work. We've been ranked the top firm actually 12 out of the last 13 years. And it's my work as a lawyer advocating for individuals that kind of led me into politics. So I've been now a commissioner at the Board of Review for 20 years this year. And what we do there is, I think, very important work. We reach out to individuals through our church-based program, faith-based program, as well as elected officials all over Cook County to bring the property tax appeal process to people's communities. For far too long, businesses really are the only entities that took advantage of appealing their taxes on an annual basis. And so when I got in there, I saw what was happening, and there's nothing wrong with them filing appeals, but I thought everyday citizens should have the same access and opportunity. So we've done, I think, a good job, and there's always room for improvement, trying to promote the individuals filing appeals, making it accessible, creating online access, anything we can do to help people reduce their assessed values and thereby reduce their taxes.
Okay. So you kind of talked a little bit about that, but could you expand a little bit more about why you wanted to become a Cook County Board of Review Commissioner?
Sure. Again, when I looked into the office and I saw, exactly what they did, you see businesses. Businesses are an important part of our community, and the way businesses are profitable is to increase their revenue and reduce their expenses. So the large businesses, in particular, those downtown Chicago, the Sears Tower, or now Willis Tower, Merchandise Mart, every year we saw that they filed appeals to try to reduce their tax liability. And they had very good reason, oftentimes, to reduce their tax liability. And I just thought that was something that everyday citizens should have access and opportunity to do as well. Just like a business, a homeowner, they have a job, they make a certain amount of income, but they also have expenses, one of which is property taxes. And they pay taxes every year, so they should have the opportunity to appeal every year. It should be a free process. And they just need to be educated on the process, make it accessible to them, and explain to them when they're entitled to reductions and when they are not. So that's what we spend a lot of time doing, encouraging people, especially given some of the financial crises we've seen lately. I think it's that much more important that people and businesses have access and opportunity to file appeals. So that's what we've been doing the last 20 years.
Okay. So you touched on it a little bit, but what are some of the things you really want people to know about the work that is done with the Cook County Board of Review?
Sure. So the process is a very simple process. We encourage people to file online at our website, cookcountyboardofreview.com. It takes about 5 minutes. And by filing an appeal, you give us jurisdiction and authority to look at your property. So the Cook County Assessor does a broad-based assessment of 1/3 of the county every 3 years. Okay. Very few people see the assessor or their staff come out to their property and measure the square footage and count the bedrooms and bathrooms. And there's some good reason for that, because most properties stay the same. But when you have changes in your property, or you've been hit by flooding, as we've seen recently in the south side and west side, those are instances when you can get a reduction for that particular year of taxes based upon that particular crisis. We've also seen instances where, historically we would see values of our properties go up every year. I'm talking 20, 15 years ago. But more recently, we've seen values go down. And when your value goes down and you don't appeal and realize that reduction in value, you're paying taxes on your property at a higher valuation. So we've encouraged people to file every year so that they are paying taxes on the actual value of their property as opposed to some prior value or some value that doesn't appreciate a particular circumstance. We factor in crime in the area if it hasn't been factored in. We factor in issues like flooding, as I mentioned. Sometimes with multi-unit properties, you can have vacancy that's relevant. A rental apartment you attempted to rent out and couldn't rent out, that can qualify you for vacancy reductions. So we look at all those types of things, and simply by filing, we will look at what we can. You can submit evidence to us, but simply by filing, it gives us the authority to look at it and try to get you where you should be value-wise.
So you represent the 3rd district. What townships are included in that district?
Sure, so there are 38 townships in Cook County. The townships that are particularly in my district are Bremen, Bloom, Calumet, Hyde Park, Lake, Lamont, Oak Park, Orland, Palos, Proviso, Rich, South Chicago, Thornton, River Forest, West Chicago, and Worth. So there are about 1.7 million people in my district. Cook County is divided amongst 3 commissioners, and most in the last couple of years, about 2 years ago, they remapped. So I gained areas all the way to the southern border of Cook County, Fort Heights, and so forth. You know, communities that have been devastated, quite frankly, with business flight, and some of those communities see some of the highest local tax rates. So it makes it that much more important that they challenge assessments that they think are excessive, and that's what we're trying to provide to them. You know, and our current assessor, Fritz Kagi, has been, quite frankly, the worst assessor I've seen in my 20 years of being at the Board of Review. I've sat through 3 different elected Cook County assessors, and he has just upended the system in a fashion that we've never seen before. Most recently on Channel 7, they report, and this is just not my assessment, a business is owed $300,000 in taxes that they had to pay. They had to sell their business because he admittedly at this point improperly characterized their property. And so they had, when they had to pay those taxes, now he's acknowledging the error, and they have to get a refund. And some of the taxing districts who got that money don't have the money to pay them back, so they're offering them less than they pay to try and settle it. And that's just a travesty. You know, people should not be paying more than their fair share, and Kagi has been a big problem. He's the reason our tax bills are late. We had the tax bills on time for 10 consecutive years, which was a great pride point for President Preckwinkle, our office, and all the entities involved in the taxing system. And he upended the system by getting rid of the legacy systems and implementing a new computer system that wasn't properly vetted, and everything. He didn't get his job done on time, and that led to the tax bills being late. So he's been, you know, again, don't take my word for it. You can look at numerous reports in the south suburbs, and we're seeing 200% increases in 1 year in valuation on properties. So his poor job at being assessor has made our jobs harder, but we're up to the task, and we're reaching out to as many people as we can to try and help.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How can he do a better job in your opinion?
Well, it's simply getting the numbers right. You know, if he did a great job, fewer people would need to appeal. And that's an ideal objective that we would all, I think, like to see. But, you know, when you come in thinking you're the smartest person in the room and everyone is wrong and bad and doesn't know what they're doing and you know the right way, and you don't listen and you don't take your time, you have some of the horrendous assessed values that we're seeing. I mean, how can a property go up 200% in a year valuation? That's his impression. Things have just been totally wrong. But you have to realize the impact that has on people. You know, how do you pay taxes based on a 200% increase in your property? You know, how does a business survive? And our communities need thriving businesses to survive. They provide jobs, they provide tax revenue. And so there has to be an appreciation for the reality and the impact of what you're doing and a collaboration with other electeds, and he just has not been collaborative. He has not been willing to take his time with assessments, and he's really trying to push through a computer-based model. And I'm a people person. I think that I need to see what people are going through, see what they're dealing with, and appreciate what they're saying. Give them a chance to show me what's going on, as opposed to just wholesale reassigning values without any transparent methodology.
Okay. So in your role, how do you engage with community?
Sure. So we have a very robust faith-based outreach program. So we will go to churches on Sundays, and a lot of the pastors will put it in their bulletins or make an announcement, and we will have staff there after service to accept the appeals, both in written format and or electronic format, so that people don't have to pay parking downtown. They can just understand the process. We're there to serve them, and then we take the appeals downtown and handle them on their behalf. We also have a very active community-based outreach program that's headed by a young lady named Dana Pointer. She's been my director of outreach for a while now. She does a fantastic job. If you want to get a job done right, you list the services of a capable and competent young lady, and Dana has been fantastic. We partner with elected officials on the south side, the west side, the south suburbs, the western suburbs, Cicero, Bremen, Berwyn, to get the word out, and then we will host outreach events where we do robocalls to the community to say, hey, we're going to be at this location at this date and time. Come on out, bring your property tax bill, we'll explain the process to you. Alderman Moore has done a great job of getting the word out. So we work with elected officials at the federal, state, city, and county levels on a regular basis to help as many constituents as we can and bring the services to their community.
Okay. So, like you said, you've been a commissioner for 20 years?
Yeah, this will be this is my 20th year. I was first elected in 2004.
Okay. So, what are some of the ways that you've been able to help taxpayers when it comes to their property taxes?
Well, again, specifically by, I think, educating them on the process and making it as accessible as accessible process as possible. So we have implemented a texting program where you can text to sign up for notifications of when your particular township is open. We have created a digital ADAPT system, a digital online appeals processing system that allows people to set up accounts online. All their information can be stored. They can upload photos, they can upload appraisals, and every year they'll receive notifications of when their townships are open so they can file annually. We have, because of the way the system works, we can only open a township for a 30-day period of time. So the assessor assesses the property. Once he finalizes his numbers, we open a township for about a 30-day period of time for filings, and then we hear the appeals. So to expand the opportunity for people to appeal, we began a pre-filing period, and we advertise that pretty heavily in July. So when the tax bills go out and taxes are on people's mind, we open up for pre-filing throughout Cook County. So individuals can pre-file, and when their township opens, the filing is already done, and we just consider the filing timely. So we've done a few different innovative things to try and create more and more opportunities, more and more access, more and more education, again, to help as many people as possible. And again, with what we're seeing out of Assessor Kagi's office in terms of the errors, it's that much more important.
So then, is everyone who should be appealing filing an appeal, in your opinion?
I personally think that everyone should file every year, at least twice a year. You can file with the Cook County assessor to give the assessor a chance to correct an error that you think he's made in your assessed value. And if he grants your appeal or denies the appeal, there may be more reduction you're entitled to. So you should file with our office also every year. And by doing so, all you're doing is trying to make sure that the valuation that's being used in your property is a proper valuation, and your taxes are applied to a proper valuation of the property. So since you pay taxes every year, have your valuation evaluated every year so that you're paying no more than your fair share. Again, businesses do it on an annual basis. We've seen a significant uptick in appeals because the vast majority of appeals filed with the assessor are denied. He's not acknowledging his errors until they're put in front of him by the press typically. It's kind of amazing that a taxpayer can say, hey, Mr. Assessor Kagi, you've overassessed my property. Here's the evidence, and then you get a denial. But when the press calls, then the taxpayer gets the attention that they deserve. So we try to deal with people where they are, with the circumstance they're dealing with, and help as many people as possible. Somewhere between 6 or 7 out of every 10 people who file see some relief. So it's there's a great success rate because there's a lot of errors being committed by Assessor Kagi.
Okay. So where can people go to find out more about you and your office and what you've done for the taxpayers in your district?
Sure. If you go to our website at cookcountyboardofreview.com, we have you'll be hit with a button for appealing if your township is open, and you'll get information about our outreach events that we're hosting. Our process is a very transparent process. If you sign up for your particular property, you'll see the analysis of the property to see how we got to the values that we got to. Again, you can upload information. So our website is very active. I also invite people to call my office directly at 312-603-5540. Again, 312-603-5540. And we try to be very responsive. And you can always come down to the 6th floor of the Cook County building where we have an office that's open during business hours for people who are more comfortable with face-to-face interactions and filing personally as opposed to online. But again, we encourage the online filing. It just gives you great access, the ability to upload information, and then you can get notifications by email.
Okay. All right. Before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like our audience to know?
I just want to encourage people again to file on an annual basis. If there's improvement that you think we can make in our office, by all means, let me know and reach out to us. We are there to serve. We go out to the community wherever we can, and we want to help people ensure that they're paying no more than their fair share of taxes. So that's sort of the message.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Remember to make plans to join us again next week for Conversations with the Citizen, the place where real news